Hello world, I'm Farsight, and welcome or welcome back to Techtonica. There's our mines complete. Now smelters, I want to have some heading off that direction, some heading off that direction, and I want to set it up so that their ore is coming in. I'm not going to allow the ore to come in yet because I want to feed from boxes, but I'm going to bring my ore in like this. We'll put a box feed out there somewhere when we're ready to start testing. And my smelters just go right off. The downside of this layout is that I have screwed myself when it comes to routing my fuel lines, which need to come in here. I think I can bring my fuel above the top. So if we are coming in here, and I can come out this direction. Out this direction. There we go. Now this does force us to bring in the fuel. Oh, wait a minute. Her to her. The fuel does not come in on this side. We're fine. Oh, we're going to need a lot more of those. Let's just do, let's hook up the first pair of smelters while we are making a whole bunch more of those. What more do we need out there? We need kindle vine extract to make. I counted many things. I did not count how many inserters I would need. Make all of them. That's fair. I think we've got everything else coming in appropriately. To do that, we want the outputs basically coming in like this and merging. We're going to need to use Mark II belts, but we'll have a bunch of those in a moment. So we'll come back and replace the Mark Is with Mark IIs when we need to. The important thing is to work out how I'm going to distribute my fuel. So the fuel is going to come in and turn. Do that. If I do that, it's short by 1. So I do indeed need to do this little dodge, get my belts to go down as quickly as possible. So the toe, I can do the toe ends on these. Sometimes I can't, but in this case I can. Output, 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 output. Are we keeping up? Oh yeah, we have a whole bunch of fast inserters now. We've got 8 smelters. So is this a fast enough belt. These guys turn in 90 a minute. So 3 of them, that's going to be 360. So we need Mark II belts here on the input. And I believe we also need them on the output. Let's get the input going first. We ran some trials here. I need some Mark II belts, so I'm going to grab them. Oh, I have a bunch. In fact, I've got a whole ton of them now. Okay, so all the way back to there. In fact, I'm going to go all the way back to there, and we're going to now change my hotkey. Now, I do not know if the belt junctions need to be, okay, so the belt junction is the appropriate speed, and I have put one belt on either side. So, chop this again, because we do need to smelt up all of the ore that we have in boxes. Also means that from here, whoops, that took the floor too. So we need to put in fast belts there. And I'm going to need to use fast belts for my ore, I think, and my fuel. No, I don't need to use fast belts for my fuel. This also means that I need to keep fast belts on my hotbar. Eventually I will use fast belts for everything, but not yet. Okay. So each one of these is 23 per minute. This output does not need to be on a fast belt. Okay. It's just the inputs that need to be fast. That's fine. Muscle memory. So fuel coming in and ore coming out. And I need to set up boxes to supply all of the ore that I had and enough fuel. There's my iron ore. There's iron ore. And I have a bunch of plant matter on me. My top floor wasn't powered. Because I trimmed the floor. Oh, I am so silly sometimes. There we go. Did we get any Kindle Vine out of this before? Yeah, nope. I trimmed it off before we had any production, so now all of our inputs are waiting. Fortunately, I happen to know that somewhere around here I have a box that has a whole bunch of grass in it. going to set up 2 boxes over here. And one of them is going to be ore. And obviously the ore can't go in here. Ore needs to come back over to there. Okay, so this is going to be my fuel box. There's fuel. Just dump all the fuel in there. And over here is where I'm going to put... I'm going to need 2 boxes. And they need to be out here a ways so that I can merge. Half our ore is going to go into one of them, and half our ore will go into the other one. So ore 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fraction. So 2 stacks and a fraction of that stack. This guy will get the remainder of the ore. So experimental evidence. 2 yellow belts can go into a merger. Goes out with Mark II. I think the merger itself has to be Mark II belt. What have we got here? These guys are now producing iron, which is going to come up here to the middle. And he's good. Now we need to do something similar for copper. And I am going to at some point we need to take the iron out that direction. And I'm going to just make this a mirror. Oh, and again by reflex, need to use 4 because we're using the Mark I belts for this. There we go. So we've got our fuel. We'll have one line of fuel coming down and marching in like that. Now what I can do is have the flat matter supplementing it like right here and right here. I see the stems. We'll worry about the stem supplement in a while. Okay. How much space did I leave between these and the edge? I left 3. Right like that. And I'm going to need to be as wide as this.
You've got a nice little batch of smelters going now, Breaker. Don't stop.
So these are only Mark 1 belts here. I need them to be Mark 2s. That should fuel us at full rate. Correct direction. Rotate at the correct point. Here. Okay, now fuel. Here and goes across, toes in. And turns and over there and toes in. We need to sever the link to the miners. We know these are running, and now we just need to smelt up the copper that we had remaining. And as I thought, this whole area here that I made power floors was much larger than I needed. Let's grab the ore. And we need to do a pair of boxes for ore over here. Let's make it big. I'm going to put it down at this end. So we are going to come up with here. Well, actually, you can do like this. That figures out where we need to put it, and then we that. How much ore do we have? Copper ore 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fraction. So 2 stacks and half of the fraction in each one. Get that all smelted. Go down here. We did manage to empty these boxes, so we can remove them. In fact, I'm going to remove the boxes and all of the floors underneath them. And now we can route this. Which one was which here? This guy needed them both. This guy needs copper. So copper is on the bottom. I probably did not dead center this. it back to here and make the turn. Make the turn. And this guy comes back beside it. The alternative would be to bring the copper back one earlier. I actually like that better. Well, let's let this drain normally. There. So we're not going to make a belt wall until we get all the way over here. It's still going to be awkward having a belt wall. But if it's only too high, it's not too bad. So fuel. I see we put in some fast belts here. Let's fix that. So, 4. Get to here and we make the turn. Oh, and we managed to keep a down ramp of the appropriate size. There we go. So this is using fuel from the box still. But now we need to bring over the plant matter from here. You see the plant matter from above, which will augment the stems from down here. Oops. Plant matter from here augmented by the stems from above. Mark 1 belt. And I'm going to empty this box as quickly as possible. This will also be a nice box to dump excess plant matter into. As long as we are draining this box faster than we are filling it, we're good. We come over to here. Convenient line. Like that. And now we can get rid of this. There's our plant matter. Now my thought was to use inserters to fill in holes on the plant matter here, but if I do that, that's exactly where this is pulling from, and as this pulls plant matter, it would be inserting. So I do need to do it upstream, which means I need to do it here. We're going to lay down a parallel. We're going to put some fast inserters down. The idea is if we have no plant matter at all, this should be enough to move enough of the stems to fuel us. I don't know how much that's going to be. So we need to hook up from our stems over there down to this guy. And the easiest way will probably be to bring it down here. I'm going to bring it right along the same line as our wall. And we'll just bring it right over like that. There we go. We do not need a Mark II belt here. And I can bring it all the way over here. And how fast do we want these to drain? Don't actually need it to drain very fast, but I will put in enough red inserters so that we potentially can match any drain at the other end. There we go. So potentially, these containers will tend to fill slowly because we're not going to be using all of the stems that come from these ladders. If they do fill, that's great, no problem. Then the farms will slow down. We'll have 2 complete containers full of plant matter stems. Fine. It's our backup fuel. The important thing is that we only use the backup fuel when this line is not saturated. Right now everything's idle. And I can pause here for a moment. We can look downstream. And we can see that we've consumed all of our copper and iron ingots. And everybody is standing still. We have some belt 2s sitting in a box, which we wanted. I'm not going to put belt 2s in Victor until he is satisfied with his frames. So let's light this guy up and let it start producing frames. Fast belt on each one. Let's verify this keeps flowing. So as this lights up our smelters, if we did it right, we should not see this belt back up. We may see, well, we're going to see it become desaturated as we drain the miners. But it should never be slowed down by the smelters. Tow these in so that we don't end up with one little orphan aura at the end that nobody will ever pick up. Even though it won't pick it up until it's otherwise empty, we still want it to be accessible. We'll come back to that. And oh, look at that. Look at that copper line. Woo. These guys are running flat out. Did we actually balanced this 45, 90, 180, so 360. And these move at 480. So yeah, okay. I'm glad I did the math before I noticed this stuttering. We can handle 360 per minute ore. Important thing is that the numbers here should be going down. Oh, no, they are. It shouldn't. 90, 180. So we're producing 360 per minute. We can only consume 360 per minute, which means that we do not have excess smelter capacity. This is fine. I'll build more if we need them. I don't care. Let's unleash this one. So these lines could be marked. Can I? Okay, you cannot replace a belt with an upgrade or a downgrade in this game. Oh well. Would have been nice if I could have just gone along here replacing these with Mark IIs eventually. The single Mark II feeding into the Mark I, that's all right. I don't want to delete it or I'll end up with more ore in my inventory. I'm trying to get all the ore out of my inventory. Oh, I have a whole bunch of Shiverthorn buds in inventory that I really should get rid of. Except, no. Yeah, I can toss those in there. That's going to back up this part of the farm, which is perfectly okay. That gets the Shiverthorn buds out of my inventory. Yay! And let's get the Kindlevine stems out of my inventory. We are neither producing nor consuming Kindlevine extract at Victor. I have some on me because I needed to make some things. Next question, do I want to continue to maintain a stash of iron and a stash of copper? I think I can continue to maintain stashes of copper and iron. Not a problem. Kindlevine extract and Shiverthorn extract. We can keep these stashes here for now. So we want to put the plant matter where it can be used, and we're going to leave the limestone stash. If I need to accumulate plant matter, I can do so, because we are producing quite a lot of it. But I have so much of it that I've accumulated over time. Crazy. Anything else I want to get rid of? I could drop some Mark I belts in here. Yeah, I'll keep one stack of Mark Is, and we'll just turn the rest into Mark IIs. So with all that done, how are we doing on the quantities? We are almost a quarter of the way there. So we've got about 3,000 of each to go. And we are producing 225 per minute maximum. We're not using a whole lot of iron in that process down there. So this tells me that it's going to be about 15 minutes. Cool. So I'm going to designate these 5 lanes as being my center point. I'm going to run that all the way down. And then we're going to start trimming. So from here, trim. I'm going to start from here. Trim that. Okay. dropping holes in this power floor. Let's run a second row here. Make our landings at the top of the stairs nice. Now, somewhere I have a bunch of these light poles. Well, I have several of them. I've got a bunch of them in a box somewhere. I don't want to use too many of them, but marking the corners like that, that seems to be nice. Now let's punch some holes in here. I can add floor as I add melters. Make this like the one at the other end. So we have one going across. Out on this end, we do have the border one. So we're going to do the border one out here too. Ah. And this line heads all the way up. And we'll just run this all the way back. There. Now this guy needs to keep some border here for power, but I can trim it back here. So we've got our Kindlefine farm up above, providing us with the plant matter stems, which we may or may not need. We'll see. We currently have that box full of plant matter we're feeding from. Ah, the plant matter is not saturated, even with all of the output from the boxes. So, even with 4 red inserters pulling from the box, that is not enough fuel from plant matter to feed our guys. Let's see. I find one of these that is burning one. Okay, this is 4 per minute. So I've got 8, 16 by 4, 32, 64 per minute. Yeah, these can move 64 per minute, no problem. 2 of them is more than overkill. So these 4 inserters will provide enough stems to keep us going even if we have no plant matter. The 4 providing plant matter will never be able to completely fill this, but they are significantly faster than we are producing it, which means this box will always tend towards draining. And it's going to take a long time for it to drain. But again, we're still going to occasionally be using up some stems. So we still will have this drawing some. Not very often, though. I'm thinking I should not use 4 red inserters. I'm going to step down to 2 red inserters. So we're still, these guys are still moving it at 40 per minute, and we're still draining it at 80. So we are draining this at 40 output per minute drained, and that's a lower rate, and we will use more stems. This is what I wanted. Even at 40 per minute, though, oh, it'll take a while before it catches. Okay, so this is our pattern here. So we're going to be filling in the stems a lot. Oh, and as we burn more stems, we're going to be burning less fuel. Ooh. This could be the drain level or plant matter at which we start to seriously see fuel efficiencies coming into play from the stems, causing this to back up more, causing it to have a different mix. So this will dynamically balance the stems versus the plant matter. And if we ever are grabbing fuel so slowly that we back up all the way past here with just green, then we will get none of these ticking off their stems. I love systems that automatically adapt their balance. Gosh, adaptive systems. Gee, where have I heard that phrase before? This isn't a fancy one. There are adaptive systems in the world that are much fancier, where you're actually actively controlling gains and feedback loops and such. This one's actually just dead simple. Only thing adjusting is how far we've backed up here, how many of these holes need to be filled in. I like this. I like the way my Victor turned out. It uses less of the floor space than I expected. So in theory, if this is all I wanted to do at Victor, I could reorganize it just a little bit. Maybe instead of having these be 8 smelters long by 1, might put them in a 2x5 or even a 3x3, put them inside a building structure, put a whole bunch of concrete around them. I tend to actually prefer the open factory look. That's just my taste. Which means nice, smooth, curved concrete walls are a thing that I look at and I say, that's cool, and I don't end up using them. But this has been an hour and a half. This is an extraordinarily long episode. I may break it into 2 eventually, or not. Or we can just recognize that the Victor rebuild was huge. There may be a good spot for me to break it. I will think about it, and you will know when you're viewing it whether I broke it or not. I will find a good halfway point and see if there's a really good halfway point for me to break this at. Maybe before we do one section of the factory over the other. We'll see where we are. Meanwhile, when I pick it up for the next recording, I think I'm going to wait until we have... Are we done yet? No, we're not done yet. I'm going to wait until we are done inserting the iron and copper frames into Victor before the next recording. So we can pick up the next recording with us doing the Victor upgrade and seeing what that gets us. So until the next recording comes out, I will go chill, you go chill, go have some fun, and I'll see you back here in a while.